Michael, good morning.
Good morning, Neil. How are you?
It's a long email. It's a very detailed email. And very disturbing and upsetting for a family to go through this. Can you share the experience?
I can. It's my son, and he works in retail.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this isn't unique to him because
perhaps not, but it's his story nonetheless.
But it's his story nonetheless, But he's only doing his job. He's a student and he has a part-time job just to put a few bob in his pocket, and he does enjoy the work. And he enjoys interacting with people. He's that kind of, he's a quiet, mild-mannered young fellow, but he's not young, he's an adult actually, he's 21, but he's polite, but he loves talking to people, he loves working with people, very hard-working guy, very obliging, and does his job to the best of his ability, really. So one of the jobs, like a lot of other people in retail around the place, one of the jobs he gets from time to time is to stand at the door and to count the number of people entering the store and leaving the store, because with the current restrictions, they're limited, as to the number of people that they can actually have in store at any one time. And that's very understandable. That's for people's health and safety, really, and to protect people during the pandemic. So it's a busy enough store. And as a result of this queuing system that they have in place, a queue does form. There are more people trying to get in than are allowed into the store. No, that's not his fault. That's the regulation. That's a management diktat.
Seen them. I've seen them. I've seen them.
Everywhere.
I was down in Harvey Norman's buying television at the weekend. My son was buying television. We were driving through the commercial park there in Little Island, and the queue for the range was very, very long. But everybody was doing the distancing thing. But I suppose they know eventually they'll get in. Yeah.
They'll get in, yeah. And that's the situation, really. And look, most people, I think, understand this. But what has happened, and he's noticed over the last few weeks, maybe just people are getting frustrated or something, but there's a lot more anger coming to the fore, and a lot more people becoming abusive, really. And it's a significant number, really. It's not just a small number of people. And so you have this guy standing at the door, and all he's doing is saying, look, wait for somebody to come out and you can come in, and you will get in. And this is what we have to do. But he's actually taking abuse from people. And the type of abuse that he's taken, if it was only one or two incidences in a day, it might be okay. But when you're there and that's constantly be thrown at you, it becomes a bit traumatic. And there's people, I can't repeat actually on air what people are saying, but needless to say that it's profanities and extra things.
I'll get to that. It back a few weeks back or a few months back or whenever, it was kind of like more annoyance or tut-tutting, but that's been ramping up now, isn't it?
Oh, that has ramped up to a huge point where I picked him up from work actually last Saturday, and he's normally a happy-go-lucky guy, like he's a young lad, but he was actually ashen-faced and he was shaking, and I knew there was something wrong. It wasn't him at all, and I sat him in the car and I said, what's the story, what happened? And he related some of the things that were said to him, like he was called a stupid sack of S, and he was called an effing D-head, and all of those various other...
And the C word.
And the C word and all that, and people asking things like, who do you think you are stopping me, and get out of my way. And all he's doing is doing his job. And
so you said not like him at all, the reaction when he sat into the car. I asked him...
He was destroyed, he was sobbing, he's a grown man, but he broke out in a cold sweat. You could see he was traumatized. He had to compose himself, and people should realise that if you dole out that kind of behaviour to somebody who's all they're doing is their job, and they're not getting any pleasure out of it, really. It would be easier for them just to leave everybody in as well, but they can't. But it does have an effect. It has a cumulative effect over a day. So what if one or two people, which it was a few weeks ago, you would always get the very ignorant people, and there's nothing we can do about that. They'll always exist, but the numbers seem to be ramping up, and the sort of vile abuse that they seem to think is acceptable to dole out to people is ramping up. And that's, we're all told to mind our mental health during the lockdown and all that. So how do people think that affects, ordinary workers' mental health, really, when they don't deserve that kind of abuse? I'd love to know. Because of the numbers of people doing this, some of them must be listening in here this morning. The statistics would tell you that.
They're not going to come on and defend why they call somebody a stupid sack of SHIT. They're not
But you know what? They should look into their own hearts. So even if they're not going to come on, yes, they probably wouldn't be brave enough to come on.
But you couldn't. How could you defend it?
You can't defend it. I don't think. I'd love to know.
I'd love if they did, but
how they feel if it was their own son or their own daughter, or their own sister or wife or husband that was being treated like that. And all they're doing is, it's a tough environment. Like, people should realise that people working in retail, any sort of retail at the moment, is a tough environment because of all the sanitising, because of all the regulations. They have extra work on top of the work they have, and they're only doing their best.
Well, I know that, and I accept as well to some extent that you have people on the doors of some businesses and they're on a power trip and their attitude to customers is bad, but there are much better ways to give them a dressing down, even if they are bad at their job, without calling them the things, the profanities and the expletives that they engaged in with your son. You know,
it's very wrong. It's very wrong, and those people should look into their own and to do it. You know what? Even if it wasn't, ask themselves how they'd feel if they were treated like that themselves. And there's no purpose to it because they know you have to queue before you go out and go to a shop. You know, at the moment it's very likely you're going to end up in the queue anyway. You are going to get in. You are going to be looked after. Like, and why? Maybe just people venting their frustration.
They're just as rough as a bag of badgers that engage like that.
But like it's and like it's not just my son. Like, there's a very good friend of his, a young lady about his own age that would be a good friend of his from going back through the years, and she's working in retail in another retail place, and she's had worse actually. I don't know, it's because people think they can lord it over people who are smaller than them or something like that. She's a beautiful girl, but very nice, very, very thin girl, you know, very, very gentle girl. And she's had people come up to her saying they were going to spit in her face and stuff like that.
Oh, sure, I know.
One lady pulled down her mask and started coughing into her face. And then, like, the girl is only doing her job, like, you know, that's... to me, I don't understand this, to be honest with you. Like, that's why I'm kind of shocked myself.
Do you accept that maybe just people are just not thinking straight anymore? They're just their brain is fried from this.
There could be an element to that, like, but that doesn't, you know, we've all been under stress at some point in our lives, and it doesn't bring out nastiness in the vast majority of people. Like,
without a doubt. Is he going to stick with the job, Michael?
Oh, he is. It's a part-time job, and you know, like as I say,
could he not get something where there wasn't that abuse? No.
Well, he might. He might look into it. He was on the point of packing up there, and then that day, you know, now he's kind of calmed. He calmed now, says, but that's wrong as well. Why should somebody, you know, it's a part-time job. It gives him a bit of pocket money when he's going to college. Why should somebody like that be put in a position where they're actually thinking about resigning from a job because of the treatment that's doled out to them by the general public?
No, I mean, like, it's making his life very unhappy. So you said in the email, I would love to hear from one of these people who are doling out this kind of unacceptable, nasty, harmful, insulting behaviour and directing it at people who are not at any fault at all. Yeah. Why do they do it, and why do they think it's acceptable? Let me put that out there to see if anybody comes back on it. I doubt it, but you'd never know.
I doubt it, but you never know. I'd love to hear their point of view, or and more than that, I'd love them to actually think about their own behaviour. Because no matter how rattled I'd be at any stage in my life, not that I wouldn't even do it. I couldn't even think about doing that.
No, without a doubt. No, it's all in the rearing.